Good morning, everyone. Hope everyone's having a good morning today. Um, I think let's go ahead and get started. Turn my video on.
Good morning, Marcella.
Good morning, Alicia. How you doing?
I'm good, thanks.
Good. Okay, so in the interest of time, I want to keep it to the 1 hour because I know everyone's got things to do. So let's go ahead and get started. I'll open us up in prayer. Oh, great Spirit, please guide us today. Guide us in this meeting. Uh, Guide what comes out of our mouths that is positive and true. I also ask that you send your spirit over to the Ukraine and protecting those people, and also to find a way that conflict can be averted. We don't like conflict. And is there any way that you can go into their hearts and resolve this peacefully? That will be very beneficial for the entire planet. And I ask this in your name. Go whole. So we'll go ahead and get started.
All right, thank you, Marcellus. I know this is our first meeting of the year, so we're excited to gather. I know we have a lot we're going to share with you this morning, a lot about our programs. I did invite some of my colleagues from the ACES staff to share with you more in depth about some of our programs. So this is our agenda for today. And again, as Marcella stated, welcome. We're happy to have everyone joining us this morning. As we always do, I wanted just to go over our mission and give you the current numbers of where we are as an organization. The American Indian Science and Engineering Society is a national nonprofit organization focused on substantially increasing the representation of Indigenous peoples of North America and the Pacific Islands in science, technology, engineering, and math studies and careers. So currently we are looking at, we have 5,866 individual members. We do have 16 professional chapters, the 200 college and university chapters, 233 K through 12 affiliated schools enrolling more than 55,000 Native students, and then the 3 tribal chapters. So that's where we are at to date. And at this time, I'm going to let my colleague Brittany Anderson share with you about the programs and highlights of our programs that we have currently. Brittany?
Good morning, everyone. As Alicia shared, my name is Brittany Anderson, and I am from the Fond du Lac Nation up north in Minnesota. I am joining you today from the Phoenix field office of ACES, and I'm a senior program officer in career support and research with ACES. So just wanted to take this opportunity to share with you a little bit about some of our exciting program highlights that we have going on this year. So I'm just going to highlight a couple from each section. So I'll start with our Student Success PK-12 team, and you may have seen this previously written as our pre-college program. So they've now transitioned into a pre-K-12 title. So one of the things that's super exciting is our Learning Center will be collecting resources for teaching STEM for parents, for teachers, for support staff, for program, after school youth programming, to be able to culturally contextualize some of their lessons and provide some information about Native learners and how we can best teach them. We also are working on developing for Native Financial Sense. We have a culturally contextualized curriculum, but we're also working on a hands-on experience so that students can really get some experience with some of that budgeting and anticipating financial wellness and kind of getting some experience making those decisions. We are recruiting for our Sparking Interest in STEM and Computer Science program. So we're working with our Sphero robots to do some computer science training for really anyone PK through 12. So if you know any schools that might be interested in that. I'm going to pivot over to our college student success section now. So we do continue to host our college and career fair at the national conference, which is phenomenal. And we're super excited for looking forward to this upcoming year's conference in Palm Springs. We are recruiting for our Lighting the Pathway program as well. So students who are interested to go into STEM careers, or excuse me, academic STEM careers and pursue a faculty path. One other exciting program that's new this year is our USAA Veterans cohort. So we are recruiting Native veterans to participate in some mentorship, scholarships, as well as some professional development to help them prepare for a successful career as civilians. And then if we want to go to the next slide, we can talk about our career support. So we are working so this formerly was professional programming. So we've kind of split that up into two, I don't want to say departments, but two kind of sectors. So we have career support, which is more focused on the individual, and they have workforce development, which is more focused on systems and institutions. So I just wanted to mention here our Grow with Google partnership. They've awarded us 250 scholarship opportunities to participate in their Grow with Google program. So they have one in user design and experience. They have one in project management, one in coding, and then there's another one as well, data analytics. So really preparing our folks to go into the careers, and those are for anyone who is an ACES member. So you don't have to be in those disciplines or those areas to participate in those certificate programs. Another one I wanted to quick highlight is our financial counseling certification, which is a partnership with the AFCPE. So we'll be training 15 financial counselors to go into their communities and really, again, work on that financial wellness at every age. Another program I quick wanted to highlight is the Next 50 initiative, which is with a partnership with an organization in Colorado, and they have funded us to bring together a cohort of Native folks who are 50 plus that are looking for maybe a career change or looking to start a new career or maybe further down that path. So again, mentorship, scholarship, community building with them as well. And then switching to the workforce development side, our NSF Include Planning Grant is a planning grant. So we are partnered with the Nuetaharata Sahanish College in North Dakota, as well as the University of North Dakota. And we're working on understanding the best practices for supporting Native transfer students in STEM. And then we'll be pursuing a larger grant next year. And then finally, I'll just mention the Rematriation Henry Luce Foundation, which we'll talk a little bit more about on our next slides, but we're really working to understand the impact of how we can support Indigenous women in STEM organizations. And there's some more opportunities to get involved with that as well.
Thank you so much, Brittany. I'll go ahead and take it back over from here, and then we'll hear from you in the later slides about those opportunities. So thank you for joining us today and just giving us a run through of the programs that ACES has developed in partnership with so many sponsors. So the work continues, and we're just excited as we continue to grow. I do know that we're in the final stages of updating our 2022 program priorities guide. So I'll be sending that out to you once that's ready. And that is a great resource for you and your agencies to see what opportunities there are within all of these different programs that our program team has developed for you to engage and just simply be more involved and support those programs to support our membership. So as you see, our Canadian gathering has been postponed until March 3rd through 5th, 2023. So we'll see you in 2023 for our 5th annual gathering. Our ACES Leadership Summit is coming up. That one is April 10th through the 12th in Pechanga Resort Casino. And I guess that's Temecula, California, sorry. So if you're looking to partner with ACES to provide professional development and workshops and networking opportunities to Indigenous peoples and STEMs, please make sure you register and join us at that event. We are looking for a few more sponsors for that. So if your agency is interested, we want to confirm those sponsorships and support by March 4th. So I do know that's right around the corner. So if you're interested, please let me know and I'll get you what we need so that we can support that event. The 2022 regional conferences have been set, and actually some of them have already taken place. So all of these dates are listed on our website at the link below as well. So I won't read them all to you. But our regional conferences are a great opportunity for you across the nation to go out and support on a local level and really engage with our students, since those are put on by our student chapters. We just encourage all of our partners to get out there and get involved with the regional conferences.
Can you go back one slide if you can?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, just want to let you know the regional conferences actually have not passed. They actually will start tomorrow.
Oh, I thought we had one in February. Thanks, Marcellus.
Yeah. So the
I
February
thought we already. Oh, I thought. I was thinking one already moved. Sorry, I was thinking one already was. So yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, we have some coming up this weekend. They're all this.
You want to bypass February real quick? I know.
I'm ready to pass up February. Thank you.
Yeah. So if I am asking if you can, depending on your local laws, your federal agencies and everything, if you can attend these regional conferences, please do. I'm actually attending the Region 7, which is actually in my backyard. It is this Saturday. So it's a great way to network with students, to get to see people again. So I'm just throwing that as an advertisement.
Thank you, Marcellus, and thanks for correcting me. I was thinking one was like earlier this month, so thank you, and I wasn't even looking. Okay, so 2022 event highlights again. So of course, as you know, the big topic for all of us and our participation is at the ACES National Conference. So that is October 6th through 8th this year in Palm Springs, California. It's super exciting for us because we are celebrating our 45th year. So we're just really excited about that. And our college and career fair, which of course is the largest in Indian country, is on October 7th. So if your agency is looking to sponsor and or have an exhibit booth, we want to make sure that we get you set up for that. That sponsorship, the exhibitor and sponsor registration is now open, so we can get you set up with that. It is an in-person event. I know that things keep changing, but as of now, our events for 2022 are scheduled for in-person. The national conference website will be live in April, and the call for sessions will be launched in May, due July 8th. During this event, we will have our GRC meeting as we have in the past, and also I do believe it worked really well last year in Phoenix, having it in person, and we did include the call-in and had great participation virtually as well. So if you are not able to travel or attend, you will definitely be able to attend that GRC meeting virtually. And now I'm going to turn it back over to my colleagues, Brittany and or Dr. Tiffany Smith.
All right, so this is Brittany again. I got it. I'll take care of it. So there are definitely some opportunities for y'all to get involved with our programming. So we are looking for folks to review scholarships for our over $11 million in scholarships that we award. We're also looking for folks to serve as mentors in our first full circle mentorship program. So if you or someone you know would be a great fit and is looking to either be mentored or mentor, applications are open in April for that. We also are doing speaking opportunities. We have some speaking opportunities available for folks in Oregon. So Don Montanic may not be too far for you to travel. Dr. Johnny Pula is the contact for that. And then we also are looking for judges to serve on our virtual Native Science and Engineering Fair, which was unfortunately going to be a hybrid, but this year will be virtual again. So I believe that is April 1st and 2nd. So a lot of exciting stuff coming up and opportunities for folks to get involved. Perfect. Okay, so I mentioned the Loose Grant previously, our rematriation project. So we really are looking to understand the institutional barriers or institutional supports that are really helping Indigenous women in STEM. And so we are working to understand how to again put in some best practices or recommendations for folks moving forward to support Indigenous women in STEM organizations. So there are 2 opportunities that you can get involved in. The first is our partner survey. So this is for folks who may not identify as Indigenous women, but work at an organization and really can think about how your organization supports Indigenous women in STEM. And then there's the individual professional survey that is for Indigenous females in STEM organizations to share about their experiences. We are also starting to do talking circles to gather some further in-depth information from our partners and our professionals. And we are hosting a loose roundtable during the Leadership Summit on Sunday, April 10th from 3 to 5 at Pechanga. So if you're going to be at the Leadership Summit, we would love for you to join us and share your wisdom and expertise. And that's it. Oh, and I'll put my information in the chat too, so if folks want to have any questions, they can email me directly.
Brittany, thank you for sharing about those opportunities to engage. And it looks like there's another opportunity here. This is my slide. So the Professional Awards Program, as you know, each year that we honor our fellow Indigenous professionals at our National Conference Closing Banquet. So we are currently seeking nominations and for Most Promising Engineer and Scientist, Technical Excellence, Executive Excellence, Blazing Flame, and Indigenous Excellence. Nominations are due on April 29th, 2022. Yes, we did move that up this year, and it does take quite some time to gather the materials to nominate somebody. So I just encourage you to really get that started if you're interested in nominating a colleague, to allow yourself enough time to gather what you need for that nomination to have it due by April 29th. Winners are honored at the ACES National Conference and the Winds of Change magazine and serve as role models and ambassadors for ACES and your company. So nominate a deserving team member today. And then Marcella, I'm going to turn this over to you. We can start open it up and discuss for GRC and what's to come for 2022.
Okay. So I think we've discussed this many times. Oh, hold on a second. Y'all can see me a little bit better. Trying to get my technology here together. Yeah, just a little bit. So we've discussed this numerous times in terms of how the GRC can better support ACES in terms of recruiting and retaining Indigenous talent. Now, one of the things that this pandemic has been bad in so many ways. One of the ways is we have not been able to physically meet each other. But one thing that this pandemic has taught us, I think I will hopefully I can speak for everyone on this call, is that we can be even more efficient at home than at work. Sometimes we can be too efficient at work, because now I can tell you from my experience, usually when it was before the pandemic and I have to go to a meeting, I usually have about a 10-minute gap to get out of one meeting, either walk to a place or get in my car and go drive somewhere to the next meeting. Now getting to a meeting really takes 1 second. I just hang up and then go into another meeting. So one of the things I can tell you that NASA was looking at, and it was very difficult, is some of our students during the summer. A lot of them were the breadwinner, and they had obligations to their family, and they couldn't spare 10 weeks or 12 weeks to go to an internship during the summer. It was just no way. I think this pandemic has told us that we can do this virtually if we have to, and a lot of us have done that. So one of the things I'll put out there that I would like for you to take back to your agencies is for your internships, when we do go back in person, that the virtual still continue, even for our Native students that would like to get opportunities, but they just can't leave home due to family obligations, that they now have a way of actually, getting their experience, doing research, getting those opportunities, and being part of a team. So I want to take that out. I'll share that with you, and I want some other inputs as well. And I'm just throwing that out. Um, the other thing too, in terms of the GRC meetings, um, uh, we're trying to be more engaged, and this is supposed to be a two-way partnership between us and ACES. And one of the things that I also would like to get some information on is like special tracks or sessions just for the GRC. So through Alicia, we can probably get a slot somewhere in the national conference where it could be a GRC focused type of presentation. I know a lot of you like to put sessions out, and please continue to do that. But if there's something that is beneficial for the federal government and for ACES, we would like to hear that, so we can actually oh, my phone was going off. That we can actually see we can get a dedicated slot that we can present one or two topics on that. So I'm going to open up to the floor. If anyone's got any questions, please feel free to type it in the chat, or just turn your camera on and turn your mic on so we can hear. And I'll actually turn my camera off. If anyone's speaking, I can't hear you. Might be muted. I hear Eleanor had a great comment here about the virtual internships. Much more inclusive practice. I agree. Just to share with you real quick, back in 2003, we did have a group of students from a tribal college that came to NASA, and they were supposed to be for 10 weeks. And within the third week, one or two of them actually said they were going home for the weekend, and then never came back because of family obligations. So yeah, I think with these virtual internships, it allows more people to participate in the internship process, to gain that experience. And it doesn't have to be 10 weeks. We can make it shorter. We can do partnerships with their local universities to do type of experiments. So we just have other options, but the model of you have to actually uproot for 10 weeks and live in a city that you don't have any support. We kind of proven that that's kind of like 20th century. Now we're in the 21st century. So any other comments, ideas?
Marcellus, this is Alicia. I'll just add, I know at our national conference last year, we had a lot of discussion, and a lot of ideas came forward about this. I really just wanted to come on and encourage everyone that this year we do definitely move forward with submitting a GRC session, either like you said, with panelists, with maybe some interns, or anything to that, so that we can share at the national conference at a larger audience of what this relationship should be and how engaged we are as an organization and our federal partners. So I just wanted to encourage that, because we keep talking about it, and I know we've been kind of limited with being able to gather and things like that. But as we kind of move towards gathering again and being at an event together, I really would like to see us finally come together and do this, and have a session, just so that we can really support our students in the recruiting efforts that we have for agencies.
So let me put on camera. So I have an idea, if I'm not hearing anything. Wait a minute. No, I want to go to this comment here, and Naomi says, can you provide some examples of virtual internships that students were able to successfully complete, and how many hours were completed during those virtual internships? That's a great question. Actually, can Alicia, can you take like an action for me to follow Master or Goddard? that question and try to get you that information, and I'll share it with everybody at a high level.
Oh, awesome. Okay. I wrote that down for you. And I recall during our last larger or like longer meeting, it was virtual and we had the student participate, our student rep. She shared about her successful internships with NASA, remember, and hers is all virtual. So she'd be a great resource too. Marcella, that one's for you.
That's what, yeah, I'm looking, yeah, from USGS. So yeah, so Eleanor said USGS had 2 Indigenous students in a virtual internship last year. It was part-time, ecology focus, and she was going to check the hours. So yeah, great. Yeah, we can gather all that data. Eleanor, if you can send that to Alicia and myself, we're going to gather the data, and then we'll send it out to everybody with all the data so that people will have it. A great question. Um, just a suggestion in terms of a panel. I mean, like something the GRC we can do together. I was thinking of a panel, and the topic can be discussed, but we can have. I'd like to have multiple people from different backgrounds on that panel to probably discuss one, how you got to your position, what you're doing, how you got there. That's one option. Um, but maybe your insights on advancement in your area or your leadership in your area. So I'm just throwing stuff out that we can do as a panel to give students different perspective. Because I think a lot of students would like to hear one, how we got how we got to our positions. Because a lot of them are trying to figure out, wait a minute, how did so and so get to this position, and this person, how did they get to that position? How they even get to that organization or that agency? So I know a lot of people like to hear the stories behind that. Another thing we could talk about is about internships, how our internships, how they operate at our different locations. They're not all the same; all are different. Um, some are done in labs, some are done out in the field. A lot of it's done by computer. So I mean, that's another thing we can discuss. So it doesn't have to be a person that has to give a presentation. We could do it as a panel and support each other. So I'm just throwing that out. Any other ideas, comments?
This is Miss Melcher from Joint Base Charleston, Air Force installation. Well, it's Joint Base, but Air Force is lead. Can everyone hear me? Over.
I can hear you. Over.
Yes.
Did something similar to this a few months, or actually last spring. We had members of the INIT discuss being a member of the Department of the Air Force as a civilian. And so I think it's a great idea to help educate ACES students that you can actually work for the Air Force and not be a military member. And I personally know that when I was in School of Mines in South Dakota and the ACES chapter president, I wasn't aware you could be an Air Force civilian employee. And I would be very open to the opportunity to talk about my career in the Air Force as a civilian and not actually being a military member. Over.
That is actually a great topic to bring up, because I think a lot of people, including myself, I knew there were civilians, but it's a misconception that to work for the military, you have to go into the military, that there is another way you can go in and support. So I think that's a great idea. And yeah, Alicia, let's discuss that. I don't know if we can do that as part of a joint panel, or could that be submitted as a separate session? We can discuss that further.
I agree. Great topic. And I know over the last couple of years and me working with all the federal partners, it's always interesting because I think students really don't know the large vast area that they could enter federal agencies and how they can. So or even if they have like a finance degree or so that's a great idea. And I took the notes for for that, Marcella. So we'll
Okay.
follow back up with that one.
Great. I think another thing we'll have to also discuss too, I'm just going to put it out there. We have to start getting more people into the federal workforce. If you probably have not seen, there have been a lot of retirements that have been happening in the last 2 years, partly due to COVID. And I'll tell you from my perspective, I've seen that we are not able to replace those people as fast enough. We're having shortages, and I'm seeing that not in just federal sector, also the even in our work with our contractors. Usually, we go out there and say, "Can you find somebody?" Yeah, it's not a problem. Now we're coming back. They're saying, "No, we can't find anybody," or it's very difficult. So, I mean, this is probably something we can also discuss as a panel as well. I think that'd be more towards professionals. So that's another thing we also have to discuss. Do we want to make this more towards collegiate, more towards professionals, or we try to do something that we can try to bridge to both categories? And yes, I see your comment there. Critical short of federal scientists. Yeah. Okay. So you did confirm it's just not. I'm just looking at everyone else's. Okay. So it is something we could discuss. And again, these are the things that ACES can partner with us. If we're trying to get a pipeline, then maybe this is a collaboration. We can go to ACES and say, look, we've got a deficit in these areas that we're looking for, and we need new people to come into these disciplines. That's something we can work together with. Any other questions, topics?
Hi, Marcellus. This is Francis Dupree. I just kind of going off that prior subject, but that's really interesting though. And hopefully we get more participants in that, like Ms. Smelter was mentioning. But I had a question about the ACES fairs for I think it's high school, middle school programs, or is it early childhood through high school programs? Is it NACIF, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Correct.
looking on, yeah, I'm looking online right now. I know the proposals are due by March 18th. Where is this going to be held this year, or is it virtual?
That one has transitioned to completely virtual. It's typically at OSU in Oklahoma, but this year it will be completely virtual.
Okay, but every year before, I guess prior to COVID, it's held in Oklahoma?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just curious about that one because I know we always target, especially with our agencies and so forth, we always target the college students and high school students.
Mm-hmm.
But I know growing up where I'm from in South Dakota, I think we have a couple members on right now too that are from South Dakota, is that targeting those tribal members that are living on reservations and the like Rapid City and so forth, where I'm from.
Mm-hmm.
Just an idea, because since Marcellus was asking for ideas, like just as the national conference and leadership summit travels around, it would be something that I would hugely wholly support for ACES, like going forward in my life, and supporting NACIF going forward and targeting those early childhood and middle school programs too.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Francis.
Yeah, and good morning. This is Kelly. I just wanted to chime in too. And for many years prior to like my time with ACES, I know that the science fair was held annually in Albuquerque and was, has been a very long-standing program that ACES has offered. And then for many years, up until just very recently, it was virtual only. And so the science fair has always been a challenge in terms of finding partners who would be interested in hosting the in-person space and also supporting travel scholarships for students that would be able to come with their teacher and or parent chaperone. And so we were really thrilled to be working with OSU as they kind of donated some time with their administrative staff at OSU as well as facilities for the project. But one thing that is still and so next year we will be back at OSU. And I can certainly propose to the team that we look at other institutions who might be willing to make that commitment to supporting the event. But we still remain very interested in securing research presentations from middle school and high school students virtually, like we've done for the past 7 or 8 years. And so students can, we're really encouraging teachers that we work with for other programs to utilize the NASEF platform for students to conduct their research and then put together like a PowerPoint presentation or a YouTube video of sorts and participate in that way. I will tell you though, too, over the past several years, just the interest in the program is low. So at this time, we probably have about 23 submissions for the science fair, and that's for middle school and high school categories, and that's for students throughout the US and in Canada. And so we would sincerely appreciate too your partnership and support, all of you, in helping us spread the word to like students and educators that because it is a fantastic opportunity for students to really understand the scientific research process and to be able to present their projects either at a college campus or through a virtual platform. And then the winners we send to the ITEST, the International Science Fair, which was formerly in the Intel, and now it's sponsored and hosted by Regeneron. And so it is a really phenomenal program. And I think that's one area where, we really need to also enlist our partners in the federal government, our members, our corporate partners, and just our professional members in general to help us spread the word to encourage more participation in that particular program.
Thanks, Kelly. I have another question to add on to that for NASEF. I noticed on the website, because sorry, I'm not really familiar with it. I should be, but starting to get more, gain more knowledge about it. But I saw in there that groups can attend as long as there's at least one Native American person, right, with their groups. Is that correct?
Yep. And it can be like the team research project. And so I think 3 or 4, I don't believe we have any more programs folks on the phone right now, but yes.
I think that's awesome because like Kelly mentioned, there's not a lot of interest right now, right, in it. Mm-hmm. Is that correct? And I'm thinking like if it is just an idea, but if it does travel, to the different areas across the country and in Canada, then perhaps there will be more involvement in that. And then what was I going to say? Oh, the reason why I bring this up is because I'm very passionate about our Indigenous stuff, and then of course ACES. And then personally, when I was growing up too, I never, to be honest, I never heard of ACES until I got into the Air Force. And as you guys know, since like years ago, that's when I attended. So unlike Miss Melcher, as she was ACES chapter president at her college, I never heard of ACES, and I didn't live on the reservation. Of course I traveled here and there, but and that's the only reason why I bring it up too, is because I know that family members that I talk to currently, and I try to pass them all this information, all these scholarships, all the great things that you guys are doing, and they've never heard of ACES either. And so I'm just thinking out loud and trying to get ideas going across the board. And that's probably maybe true for other nations, tribes, and Native American communities across the US and Canada too. Maybe they never heard of ACES. And then that's just another outreach, I know we're focused on STEM, but it starts from the beginning, right? So Anyway, that's my 2 cents. Thank you. My two leads.
Thank you, Francis.
Yeah. And I just want to add on too, is like in our strategic plan, that's like our number one objective, just to increase engagement. And that doesn't necessarily mean like we need a whole lot more like members. I mean, of course we want our entire network to continue to grow, but it's just like engagement in our events and in our programs. And so we're still committed to doing that. And we were fortunate over the last couple of years to secure some additional grant funding so that we could build capacity within our organization, so that we now have one additional person in our engagement team. We've got an additional programs person that, and so we've been able to grow a little more capacity, not only to help with increasing visibility of our programs and just the organization and our partners in general. And then we also are, taking a look at just our overall kind of marketing and outreach to try to just figure out better ways to connect with, that specific audience, Francis, well, all audiences, but even just, thinking about rural communities and middle school students and high school students. And we're, we want to make sure that, like that as many people as possible are aware of the programs and opportunities available to them. So just know that that is an ongoing commitment and an area that our team at headquarters is focused on. And we appreciate your help and support and helping continue to bring awareness in the communities in which you work and are connected.
Hey, this is Ms. Melcher again. Can I interject for 1 second? So have any of you ever heard as government engineer, government counsel of the Society of American Military Engineers? They call it SAMMY. And I'll pause for anybody to say yes or no, or just put in the chat box. The reason why I'm asking is I'm a member of that organization here at Charleston. And I recently was approached by SAMMY in Florida because SAMMY National has a grant. It's a pilot grant where they want to have 4 different posts do summer camps on or near the reservation for Native American youth to try to spark the interest in science and engineering. Now, some may think that the SAMMY organization is only military members. It's absolutely not. Majority of the SAMMY members are actually civilians, with the president and vice president typically being the civil engineer commander from the installation. I'm asking this question because they have identified 4 different locations they want to utilize this grant for. There's one in Florida, Albuquerque, Alaska, and Minot. And when I was talking to the panel a few weeks ago, they said they reached out to ACES to see how they could get assistance or help identifying any ACES chapters. Now, if anybody on the call remembers that conversation, I want to know how we can help these different posts in those locations make those relationships and partner with SAMMY to help with a summer program for Native American youth. And I'll pause for any comments. Over.
This is Marlene Watson. I live in Anchorage, Alaska. If they would like to have a person to contact, I'll be happy to help, but I'm not sure. I can't think of a particular community at this time right now. But so I don't know if my email shows up there.
Can you put your name in the chat box, ma'am? And your email and the phone number, and let me be more specific too. The locations of these grant opportunities are going to be surrounding an installation, like a military installation. So for instance, Minot has the Air Force Base, and down in Florida, it's going to be around Tyndall or Eglin. So it's going to be paired near an Air Force or Army installation. And I think right now I'm tracking this all Air Force, but so the members, and I find this a lot, is the more I work in the Air Force, most installations don't know how to engage with Native population. And that's part of our job with INET, with Dupree and Colonel Trujillo on the phone, is to help educate the Department of the Air Force on how to engage appropriately with the Native American population. And so when they asked me to join this SAMMY panel, I'm trying to help the different posts do that. And so if we know people in ACES up in, I'm from South Dakota, so I know people out there, but I mean in North Dakota that can help bridge that gap around the Minot area, that would be very helpful to kind of guide them in that direction. I've offered to help in Minot in particular because I used to live there, but if we can partner with SAMMY, because they're trying to do the same thing that ACES does, is promote and develop STEM for Native Americans. And so I hope that we can partner with them. And if anyone wants to talk to me offline about that at a later time, please feel free to do so, because I'm on that panel now to try to give them ideas and help them. So I'm just going to stop talking now, but I would appreciate anybody's input. Over.
SAMMY is SAM, the acronym. What's the acronym?
Sorry, I muted myself. It's called SAMMY, SAME, SAMMY.
Okay.
I'm typing the chat box right now.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great discussion. Any other ideas, comments?
Just a question. I'm sorry, but we're
Sorry, was it Jeff? You were saying something, you dropped off?
sorry. I was wondering where the slides are posted.
I'll actually send the slides out after the meeting and the recording. Once I get access to this recording, I'll be able to send all of that out to you.
Excellent. We reach out to you guys for getting involved in some of the activities you guys have brought up, right?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Any other discussions, topics?
Yeah, this is Francis again. I was just reading Don's statistic about 78% of Native students live off reservations. I was just going to ask him where he got that source or that statistic from. What's the source? And then is that in the United States only? And then, or is that just in Washington, Oregon area?
I put the link to the National Indian Urban Coalition, and also if you look at the National Indian Education Association, they provide testimony each year, and they also have a list of the number of K through 12 students by each state. So other recommendations there's a list in that document. There's a list of Indian urban centers around the country. So especially large Oklahoma and California are two of the largest Native populations. And but anyway, here in the Northwest, Oregon and Washington anyway, we work with the Washington Indian Education Association, Oregon Indian Education Association, and we actually probably get more participation from the city governments with Native engineers than federal. We have like one federal professional member in our local Portland chapter, but I guess I'd recommend if there's federal agencies. If I was a federal agency, I'd focus on places like San Francisco, the Bay Area and Los Angeles, and supporting professional chapter members that would be in that area from your federal agency. But that's our strategy anyway. Just we're going where the numbers of students are, and that document has the numbers in it.
Thanks, Don. What agency are you from?
I'm actually retired. I'm retired from the Bureau of Indian Affairs, but I'm for the last 10 years. I retired in 2012, but I'm still hanging around.
I'm like, Don still does all our work. We love him.
Thank you.
Thank you for those great resources, Dawn. That's very helpful. So thank you. All right, Marcellus, are we?
I think we're getting to the hour, so let's just go ahead and wrap everything up. So just in closing, if you need any support from ACES, these are your primary ACES contacts. For the GRC directly, it's Alicia Mitchell. She's our savior and angel. I'll just say that.
Thanks.
But if she is swamped with doing something, please reach out to the other people. All the ACES staff members are willing to help. And below are the GRC meetings. So we're having our Qtr1 meeting today. Our next meeting is going to be on Zoom, April 28th. The summer meeting, we're going to try to get more information. Either it's going to be virtual or we're going to have it hosted by the Air Force. So we'll get more information in that. And Qtr4, hoping and praying that everything starts going down, mandates are lifted and everything, that we can actually meet in person October 6th. Even though if we do meet in person, we will also have a virtual component. That is, even before the pandemic, we always wanted to have a virtual component. So people, if they could not attend, either due to work commitments or personal commitments, they could still be part of the ACES GRC meeting at the national conference. So we will definitely try to do that. And I think with that, I think we are done with the meeting.
Yeah, I think we are. Thank you everyone for joining us today. And let's just keep hoping that in 2022, we continue to have the opportunity to gather in person. Everyone stay safe. And we definitely will get more information about the summer GRC meeting in DC. We would love to gather in person, but just in case, we still stuck that on our calendar to make sure we have a meeting set in case we can't meet in person. But the goal is to be there together. But thank you everyone for joining us today. And I will send out the PowerPoint, and I will send out the slides, and I will send out the recording for everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care, everyone.
Goodbye.